continue to push down the course of collaboration. Collaboration and remote access over the course of the last 2 years has been paramount during the pandemic. Optanix was well prepared and ready to work within that space. The biggest things that we'll push over the course of the next year is our synthetic testing and processing that continue to provide an incredible view of what's happening from a remote access solution perspective. We want to be able to understand how those people are that are working from home and provide a better quality and visual and understanding of that. With that, with the acquisition of ATSG from Optanix, Optanix now has a whole robust feature set of products available within its portfolio. The vision will be that we will take those product sets from different cloud components to hosted workspaces and bring them better to provide one holistic capability of providing end-to-end collaboration and experience to our customers. Every other place has lots of different product sets that come together that are leveraged and utilized to try to make an experience for their internal employees to provide to their end customers. Optanix, with the acquisition, is now best capable to provide that experience end-to-end, leveraging over 20 years of experience in the collaboration and data networking space, tying it into the desktop and server space now with the ATSG acquisition. It'll become a focal point for us as we roll forward into the future. The biggest trend that we're seeing in the private and public cloud is that the diversification that's occurred over the course of the last 2 years and people's need to expand quickly was a bumpy, rough experience for most companies. While they had a cloud provider or were in process, things got accelerated that pushed them. The biggest thing that we've seen as people started adapting is they realized that they needed multi-cloud strategies. One cloud provider, they might have one for contact center, one for their systems and infrastructure, one for their desktop and service and workspace in the cloud. What they realized is while they had good strategies that fit their business need, the challenge is the visibility. So the biggest thing that transpired is that as you go to all these different clouds, they're each their own self-contained system, and they provide limited tool sets back to the end user to look who is the consumer of those resources. So IT departments have been extremely challenged with, well, why doesn't this work? What's happening with this? Why can't we solve these problems? So the biggest thing that they've lacked is that ability to see the entire living, breathing topology. And that's what we provide at Optanix, is we provide that capability to go in there and start to manage all the different assets. And even in some cases, it's the watch the watcher effect, right? It's the, hey, I've trusted this, but trust but verify. So I'm going to put in another tool set that allows me to get a better view of my entire business. And I'm more important at that point about service assurance, right? And service assurance is the key to any business, is ensuring that the services that you're providing, whether it's to your end customer, to your employees, or to anything else, is that you're making sure that that service is up, viable, and capable. And once you go to a multi-cloud strategy or diversity with different assets within your environment, that becomes very challenging for the people that manage it day to day within the business. And that's the piece that we're really focusing on now with our synthetic transactions and the updates that we're doing for our monitoring, is focusing on the fact that those assets are now dispersed, they're not controlled by a single entity, and that you now have the capability to bring visibility into where your faults, your problems, so that you can try to run an environment that's homogenized and does not give you that bumpy, rough experience that you see out there for your end customers. Transactions and changes that we're seeing is that people looking to outsource their data network more to us. The biggest reason for that is because of our experience in collaboration. It's one thing to be able to understand how things communicate and how different product sets, whether it's Teams, it's Zoom, it's insert whatever product you want in there for communication in corporate America. The biggest challenge is that the product sets and everything, the people that support and service those product sets aren't used to a complete work from home environment. The other thing is that from their standpoint, the only thing they know predominantly is what's within their four walls. So the biggest thing that Optanix gives them is exposure. Optanix is, investment in technology, process, procedure, and people in over 140 enterprise deployments allows Optanix to get a view and understanding of how different things communicate that just you simply don't have as an individual company. So what companies are doing, they're looking to companies that have, from a managed services practice perspective, lots of experience in the space of managing remote workers, managing collaboration, communication architectures, looking to offload those portions of it so their people can be more strategic, so they don't find themselves like they did in the beginning of the pandemic. They want to plan and do better from a business continuity perspective and plan for their business on whatever course that business has taken. And they're looking for partners to help them in that. They're looking for transformational entities. Optanix has the capability to provide that along with the acquisition by ATSG. It allows for Optanix to bring in other components that will help accelerate those things and make those work well for customers as we go forward. The last 2 years have taught us a lot. We've experienced incredible change over the course of those 2 years in the managed services space. The biggest thing is an understanding of that we were always prepared for people to work in certain areas, but not everyone at all at the same time. Managed service providers were prepared and ready to help and assist in a all of a sudden flush and run to home. The biggest challenge that was experienced by most everyone was the fact that while we prepared for people in like collaboration space, contact center, those types of individuals to work remotely, we didn't plan for all of the people to be gone all at once. That created all kinds of different problems from a work from home environment perspective. So managed service providers had to become high-end collaboration providers. They had to start digging into areas that they weren't comfortable with. They had to start doing performance analysis and stuff on the work from home environment because we certainly just weren't prepared for major corporations to all of a sudden pack up and move out of their brick and mortar. So the biggest changes that we're seeing is the adaptation and understanding that collaboration always needs to be there, always needs to be on and available. And the challenge with that is how do you do it securely? So the biggest thing that you're seeing from managed services providers today is a scenario or solution that allows for business continuity. So as we move back into the brick and mortar space, it allows us to look at it and say, hey, these individuals, not everyone's going back. And also, how do I handle the need if everyone does need to go back? So the changes that we're seeing is in the managed services space that they're adapting, preparing and being ready to take on-demand flush of new capability as it happens, the ability to quickly adapt to change, the ability for anyone to work from anywhere at any time. Those types of things have been added into the managed services providers' portfolios. So that's the key component is you have to start preparing and doing that from a managed services perspective. That's something that we here at Optanix are very interested in helping with. It's something that we accelerated with because we were already a collaboration and communications provider in the space. So the biggest challenges that managed service providers face in the end is ultimately the fluid nature of the working environment. Brick, mortar, home, it just all depends, and being prepared for that. So with that, I mean, the biggest impact from work from home was security. We all of a sudden had everyone flying back, not being in the office anymore, sitting at home and working remotely. So it created lots of large-scale events for people that had normally had a very strong security posture. That security posture went out the window. We have all these great things that we built over time to, block us in and barricade us and protect us securely from a business perspective in our brick and mortar buildings and our estates, and planning for that. As we moved away and we went outside of that, we opened up all kinds of new windows. And what is prevalently evident in the industry is that there is an enormous increase in ransomware and other types of attacks from a cyber perspective that are going on with the opening of people going to work remotely. So will people ultimately come back to the office? So the answer is yes. In order to have a curated experience, over time, what you're going to see is that people aren't going to be used to hearing stuff in the background anymore, right? People are comfortable and understand that during the pandemic that it was okay to have certain sounds in the background, whether it be a barking dog or children playing in the background and stuff. People were willing to be amenable to that. As time goes on and we get back to more of a normal state in time, those types of things aren't going to go. So it'll be dependent more upon the work environment and the vertical that you're in. A lot of industries will come back into traditional brick and mortar, your financial institutions, those types of things. Other industries may never go back. You look at things that happen in the travel industry, travel agents and stuff like that. All those brick and mortar buildings closed and none of them reopened. They quite frankly went remotely. So it just depends a lot on the vertical and on the quality of service and types of communication that you provide. So if you're a higher end contact center type environment or you're in the financial industry, the expectation is you should expect to be back into a brick and mortar environment that may be in a hybrid environment. So you might be working like 3 days on, 2 days off, in and out of the office, but we should expect for that to be fluid. People might have some more hoteling that's occurring in the office and not have a physical space that they have day in and day out anymore. They might expect that they are in a shared meeting space now. So those types of things will be the biggest changes that we see. But ultimately, depending on what type of industry that you're in, we're definitely going to have people back in the office.